Hello, everybody. It's Robert from Old Style Classics Baseball Cards, and today's a big, huge day for me. Going to be one of my biggest videos, if not one of my personal most important videos. So I want to thank you. Thanks for tuning in and watching, and going on this journey with me. I love collecting baseball cards. I'm from Chicago originally. Grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and moved here to the Bay Area in California, San Jose, Sunnyvale area, about 12 years ago to get married to my wife, who I'd met in the first grade back in New Mexico. That's a story for another day, or I've already told that. Just a few quick updates. um, on the other videos that I've been talking about that I lost. I still haven't decided what to do, so I'm recording this video on my phone today. It is September 30th, right? The last day of the month. Yeah. And 2023 here in Santa Clara, California. And just a quick update. Since I'm from Chicago, I'm a huge Chicago Cubs fan. We finally won again today, beat Milwaukee, but Miami won, so we're eliminated from the playoffs now. So that's a shame. As normal, any Cubs fan, maybe next year. So that sucks. So, anyways, I'm a Cubs fan. I love collecting baseball cards, concert tickets that I go to, sporting events, collecting autographs, getting pictures with stars, and all that. I've been doing YouTube videos since way back in the mid 2000s. A lot of concert stuff. I've had multiple pages, and some of them were taken down because of copyrights when I post a video from a concert. So I've lost videos over the years, and and I've been always collected baseball cards for pretty much my whole life. Not really seriously until about 1987. Went in overboard in 87 with all three sets, which are beautiful. But when we moved to New Mexico, we had a Tasty Freeze. And by then, I mean, I was just going in the first grade. And I loved baseball. My grandpa and me, we got along like that. We both liked sports. My dad didn't care for that kind of stuff. So me and my grandpa were huge Cubs fans. They would take us to the Wrigley Field. We would go back and visit over the years, go to Wrigley Field. I was actually there in 1987 on Baseball Card Day, which I think they chose that day because me and my cousins all liked baseball cards. And so I got that set that has the two of them actually, which I'll do a video on someday, that has the first Greg Maddux card as a Cub before any of the update or any of that other stuff. So the David Berg 87 Chicago Cubs, I have that. When I was a kid at the Tasty Freeze, we had some old MSA discs, which is another one of my things, is oddball cards, food issues or product issues, which I'm a big fan of. We had some there, and I still own my very first baseball card that I remember owning, which was Dave Kingman Tasty Freeze card. I'll show that someday, and I'm going to do a whole slew of videos about oddball cards, and especially MSA. So I'll get around to that. Also, growing up, I played Little League and wrestling and soccer and all the sports and all that. I didn't really play through high school. I just didn't have the grades for it. But I've always been a super sports fan and involved in sports. But I love baseball. Baseball is my favorite thing. I love the history of baseball. I love thinking about the old players, and I was always fascinated with it before before the internet. Even when I was a little kid, I knew all about Ty Cobb and Babe Ruth and all these guys. And then like when Ken Burns Baseball had came out, that was like huge. I love it. That's the kind of stuff I love. Eventually I went into college to be in anthropology, which makes sense because I like the past and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where I come from. Love sports. I love sporting events. I love concerts, hard rock, regular rock, country music. I love country dancing. I love classical music, Beethoven, and all that. Um, any guy who's in my age range, we grew up with Star Wars, so those are probably the first cards I really collected. We used to go get Star Wars cards, you know, all that. Grew up with Looney Tunes and Transformers, buying that stuff, Star Wars figures, Robotech, um, anything and everything. But I also picked up cards throughout the years, especially when you're young back then. You didn't have a lot of money. So your allowance or mowing lawns or washing cars for money only went so far. So baseball cards sometimes when you're in the mood, toys, candy, video games at the arcade, all that stuff. So growing up, my favorite player, though, that wasn't a Cub at the time, was Andre Dawson. I used to want to bat like Andre Dawson. I knew who he was because I loved baseball, and he was my favorite player. And then, of course, he went to the Cubs, and he's always been my PC, my personal collection. That's who I collect. And over the years, I would always buy some cards, sometimes more than others. Through the 90s, because you got other interests, concerts, girls, cars, music, and all these other things. You kind of trailed off, especially when you knew by then that cards weren't probably going to be worth what you thought they were when you were younger. But I was always fascinated with the pre-war tobacco era stuff. So in the mid 2000s, when I saw Allen Ginter come out, that was my favorite set. Beautiful set, greatest thing I ever saw, because it was the throwback to the original Allen Ginter cards. And I've been hooked ever since then. So today I'm going to do today's my white whale day. Today is my 52 mantle. Today is my Cracker Jack Ty Cobb, or the Shoeless Joe Jackson, or the Cap Anson. For me, this is my white whale. This is the card I've always wanted. Now, you would think that would be Andre Dawson. No, I do a lot of collecting of Andre Dawson, but this card isn't that. And so I'm going to do a little culmination video that today I'm finally getting the card that I've been looking for since the second 2006 Allen Ginter came out. And yeah, so I'm just going to do a little time warp from then to now, and then we'll do the reveal in a little bit. So thanks again for joining me to watch this video. This is a big day for me, and if you've seen any of my other videos, you can probably predict what I'm about to go over, but I'm just going to show you a few things. Once again, I love that vintage old tobacco style stuff. I love Allen Ginter. I love mini cards. That's my thing. And outside of like product food issues, cereal, and, Post and Cracker Jack and Jimmy Dean sausage, Jack Link's, or King Bee beef jerky, all that kind of stuff. I love that stuff. Cereal cards, Captain Crunch, Cookie Crisp. So anyways, I'll show this next, but let's show you a little bit, a little time warp here. So a few weeks ago, I did pick this up off of eBay. This was one of my, I don't want to say white whales, but this is one of the other big things I've been going for ever since I've fallen in love with Allen Ginter in 2006. And right now, my journey is to obviously collect Andre Dawson stuff. I'm going for some rainbows of Andre Dawson during the Allen Ginter cards. And one of my other goals is to try to kind of get one card of each kind of different thing that Allen Ginter has done over the years. Like the box loaders, box loader relic, box loader autographs, stained glass card, book card, dinosaur DNA, a cut signature, you know, some of the rare insert subsets, the national convention cards, all these kind of things. Those are the things that I'm kind of going for. I'm not like a complete set kind of guy trying to go for that. But anyways, so a couple weeks, about a month ago, I had picked up 3 cards at the San Jose card show at one of these little malls they have here. And in that one, I showed the video where I picked up 2 1908 Ogden's wrestling cards and my first T206 Doc Adkins from Baltimore. So that was my first original tobacco cards. Prior to that, I think the oldest cards that I had was a couple Arm & Hammer cards that maybe had some flowers or birds on it. I think those were from the 30s. And then I had like a 1950, 51, something like that, Bowman. And then some 60s cards. But, you know, I could never afford these old ones from way back when. But now, this last year, I've been getting a lot of stuff, and finally realized, like, my white whale that I'm going to break open that I got from eBay through the authentication thing today. You know, I was never able to, to pull that card. I tried and bought blasters and stuff when it was still available. You know, even up until 2013, you could get some of that stuff. But ever since then, I mean, you can't get old Allen Ginter anymore unless it's like in the last 4 or 5 years. Anything before that, you just can't get. And so I realized I was never going to be able to pull that card most likely. And it would be pretty hard to pull anyways because it's a really short print. And so I just finally gave in and ordered it. I got lucky. I'll tell that story when the time comes. But one of the other things I wanted to do because I love Allen Ginter so much is to get an original Allen Ginter. So there's an 1887 Allen Ginter W.M. Muldoon. He's a wrestler, not a professional wrestler, but a Greco-Roman wrestler champion from back then. And there's the back of the card. It's in rough shape. It's better shape than that T206 that I got. But, you know, there's your little list of baseball players. And then there's all your, what people nowadays would call oddball. Because, you know, Allen Ginter's isn't a baseball card set. It's a card set. And they've always done stuff like oarsmen, wrestlers, boxers, pugilists, shooters, billiard players and pool players, and then they went on to do stuff like flags, Native Americans, smokers, pretty girls, outfits, dudes, all kinds of stuff. So Topps picked this up and continues the tradition. So that's why they do the weird stuff that Allen Ginter does that a lot of us love. Some people don't understand because they don't understand what the original Allen Ginter was, and that it's not a baseball card set. So you know, I love it. I don't want it to go away. I know it's one of their top sellers. And hopefully some, you know, people will learn what Allen Ginter is all about. And maybe learn to love it like we do. So I wasn't able to get a baseball player because they're pretty expensive. But I was able to get this wrestler, and it's pretty nice. Now, these original Allen Ginters were put in tobacco. The packs of cigarettes, you know, supposedly to stiffen the pack, keep the cigarettes from breaking. And it was just another way to get people to buy more cigarettes. And it worked because Goodwin, Oback, you know, all kinds of brands started doing that. And then Goodwin merged with these guys, and that's where your T206s came from 36 years later. You know, so if it weren't for this stuff, you wouldn't have baseball cards. We'll just call everything baseball cards, trading cards, whatever, if it weren't for this kind of stuff. So anyways, that's where Allen Ginter starts. And so we're going to go on a little journey to 2006. So Allen Ginter in 2006 was going to come out. They were going to do a retro set. And this one's the one that really took off, that people love. And so I've showed the outside of this that a lot of people don't have, but I'm going to walk you through a little history of Allen Ginter. So in 2006, here's the sell sheet Allen Ginter sent out to the hobby shops to show people what they were going to get. I walked into the card shop one day because I kind of started collecting a little, like about a year before this came out, when I pulled my Jacoby Ellsbury Signs of the Future autograph card, and then I started getting TNA knockout blasters because they had autographs in them. So it's kind of hooked on the autographs. But I always loved old-fashioned cards like the Hannes Wagner, like everyone else. And so when I seen this, I was like, wow, modern cards with modern players and people. You get these minis, which I always loved, which I could never afford growing up, and it's modern players and old-time players. So this is the sell sheet that you don't see anyone else have. I mean, there's like one other person online that I've seen that's had this over the last few years. I'm sure other people have it, but there's not a lot of them. And so recently I have been doing a lot of videos because I've started just buying stuff up to kind of get all these different things that Allen Ginter does off of eBay. So I've been doing a lot of reveals, but I think I lost about 7 or 8 videos. So I don't know what's missing, but this is one of the sell sheets, and I was able to find the second year sell sheet. So we got that. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to show you, a little bit of what Allen Ginter's has done. Not everything through the years, but I'm finally going to show you guys the inside of this sell sheet so we can get to what I'm planning on, what I got today. So if you're interested, pardon my legs if they come in the screen. So there's the front of it. So you got the front page with Mickey Mantle and Danica Patrick. So remember the Mickey Mantle, the Danica Patrick. You get 2 frame autographs, printing plates, Allen Ginter original cards that you can pull out of this. So it's showing people what you can get. And then you guys can pause this if you like to read this, because I don't want this to go on forever just about a history lesson. But here's what you could get in there. And this is a fold out. I did show the 2007 before. So then it's showing you what the base card 350 would be. You get 6 per pack, and it's showing you the standard card size there. And then there's the kind of things that you can get. Like Allen Ginter, this is the place where you can get original cards, cut signatures. Look at that Queen Victoria, or DNA from Abraham Lincoln or John F. Kennedy, stuff like that. Then it would show you the rip card. So remember that in a minute. So I have misspoke in the past about the rip card, which is showing in here, but there's the new concept of the rip card. It tells you what they're about. And decide to rip or not, and it kind of gives you an idea what you can get. And then it talks about the framed minis, which is going to be important to this video. So you got your framed autograph cards. So Allen Ginter Superstar autographs, 12 big names from other arena. 12 big names from other arenas are featured with their signatures on hand-numbered, original-sized frame to standard 2.5 by 3.5 inch size. Included are Carl Lewis, Danica Patrick, Mike Tyson, Hulk Hogan, Jenny Finch, and Takeru Kobayashi. I think that's the hot dog eating guy. Frame relic cards you can get, framed original cards of those Allen Ginters that I showed you, frame mini printing plates, and then it shows you what the framed little cards would look like there. And then you flip this over. Now there's the front. And then so what you can get is some of the insert sets, the Dick Perez cards, the mini parallel cards, you know, which is like telling you about the Allen Ginter back, the black border, the bazooka back, which is now the Brooklyn back, and the Allen Ginter wood card parallel. And it talks about the box loader. So there's the N43, which I recently picked up my first autograph N43 of a 2022 Manny Machado. And they also had relic cards. Look, that one there, you could have got a Josh Gibson. And then the original, like 2006 Allen Ginter box loaders, other than the N43s, were these postcards, which just has a stamp of the player there. So there's the Cal Ripken Jr. And then they also had 15 of those 15 people personally autographed a different postcard than the ones that you see here, and they personalized it, signed it, and they're 101s. So like Danica Patrick and all these people, and I've only ever seen one that showed up, and that was like an original video. Here's the small print if you wanted to see that. And then we're back to the front, which of course I want to get this autographed because this sell sheet is something not a lot of people have. And so this is one of my pride things of owning a 2006 original, something that most people don't have. And just to show you guys, another promotion that Allen Ginter did prior to the the set coming out, or right around then, was they sent these out. This is a 2006 original rip card. So actually there's two of them here. So they sent out these Alex Rodriguez rip cards to like hobby shops and stuff like that, so that they can open them or give them to customers to open, to kind of entice them to buy Allen Ginters to see what you can get. And so on this one, they're explaining what they're showing people what a rip card is. So the original was always an Alex Rodriguez. You would rip it, and inside was always a Mickey Mantle. So what I did was I ordered one unripped. I put in this box, this book card one touch. So this is an unripped version. Then I had bought this one ripped, but the guy had never taken the Mickey Mantle card out, and I was originally going to pull that out, which I've talked about before. And then my wife told me, no, why don't you keep that in there, since the guy kept it in there all these years. And actually this one, the guy actually sent it in the cellophane pack that it came in. So I actually have that. So these got sent out so people could see what the rip card is. And so then she told me to just go ahead and order that Mickey Mantle so I can have a display showing of the progression of what it actually is. And so there's the Mickey Mantle exclusive that you can only get in this card. It wasn't the base card or anything like that. And as you can see here in the back, this one is called PP1. So the rip card was PP1. So the promotion, I don't know what the second P stands for, but that's PP1, and then this is PP2. So if you look, the back of this rip card is very much like the Allen Ginter that you used to seeing. It's got the white back. Obviously they needed to do that for the rip. And then the mini is kind of an early mini, pre the main set, and this is PP2, but if you could see, it's a cardboard back. So it's not even like the backs that Allen Ginter normally do. So it's cardboard, so that's like early. And so that's a promotion that they sent out in 2006 to promote what they have. I do not have a hobby box, but what I do have, other than this sell sheet, is I do have an original. I've got two of these. This is the original blaster box that you can get. It had a big thing of styrofoam in there, and then just their standard 7 packs plus one extra, which they still say to today on the 2023s. So there's your just like the sell sheet on the front with the beautiful art. It looks kind of like those old books that Allen Ginter you can send in as a premium. So it'd be nice to get this autograph too. Obviously Mickey Mantle's gone, so I'd have to have her sign this. But this is the one I really want signed because I feel this is rare, but that would be cool too. And so just to show you guys the box, I've shown this before. There's nothing on the bottom. These are when the blasters were a little bigger. The pack of cards, if you bought them just out of a retail box, were still $2.99 at the time. These were still like $20 at the time. So there's what it says. There's the side, the top. So look for autographs, relics, printing plates, 1887 originals. That no purchase necessary. And then on the back, you know, it had a little showing you what you could get, featuring the minis there, and then the top's information, and then your odds, and then like the write-in, send-in stuff. So there's your odds right here, and then it talks about all the groups, the different autograph groups. So they used to group it back in the day, and stuff. Some of them were, you know, anything over 300, you know, as a 300 card base set. And then 301 to 350 were the short print set, which you would get the people like Danica Patrick, Hulk Hogan, Mike Tyson. All those were over 300, less likely to pick those up. And then like those people in their autographs were like limited to like 100. And then of course you had whatever was in the rip card. So I believe like the super short prints and stuff. So anyway, so there's the blaster. So unfortunately I don't have any in there, but when I moved to California, I mean, I did pick some of these up in Albuquerque when it first came out because I was still living there. That's where I picked up this sell sheet from Bubba's Bullpen. I don't believe they're there anymore. But then I did pick some of these up at in the Sunnyvale, South Bay Sports Cards, and Stevens Creek Sports Cards, and I picked these out as quick as I could, the old ones. And now you can't find anything anymore. I mean, and if you do, you're going to be paying $1,000, $1,500 for a blaster. And I think these just, I mean, the blaster is like $800, and a hobby box is like $1,500 to $2,000. And then you're not even guaranteed to get the card that I'm looking for, which is my white whale. All right, and then inside that, I only have the retail stuff to show you guys. So there's what the retail pack looked like. This came inside of here, but you could also buy those at like Target or Walmart or the hobby shop, you know, when they had retail stuff. So that's what the packs look like. The hobby one would be the same, but it would have like the hobby logo down here, and it would usually be 8 cards. Every pack you got 1 mini. So actually in the blasters, because you got less cards, but you got more minis. You know, if you bought 8, you know, if you bought 8 of these, you'd get 8 minis, and to get the same number of cards in like hobby, you would get 6 packs, but you'd only get 6 minis. And I love mini cards. It doesn't matter if they're framed, loose. I just love them all. So then there's your back. I got some of the, you know, I hang these old Allen Ginter packs up at my, you know, at my work over in my cubicle. I have them taped up under the thing so that I can kind of look at them. I don't have all the years. You know, I didn't bother collecting them all, but I do have a lot of them. So I still have some old ones to pick up. But those are a little easier. And then, of course, you had your odds again, actually, on the pack. You know, so that's what your pack would come in looking like. And so just to give you a few ideas of what you got out of 2006 and why I fell in love with it. You know, there's one of the M43 box loaders I recently picked up from eBay. That's 2006. You know, it's the bigger than a normal size card, but we'll use this. There's your standard card. So, you know, it's a little wider, but it's not as tall. So they're similar, but not exact. You know, so they are a little harder to store. I just put them in these top loaders, so that gives you an idea there of the size of the M43 if you're unaware of them. But that's 2006 box loader that you can get, one of the two types outside of the 101s or the autographs or relic. The standard box loader. I'm a Chicago Cubs fan, so this is the 1887. That's with the Cap Anson card, which is probably the best card you can get out of the original Allen Ginter. It's only had like 9 baseball players. And so that, there you go. The original baseball card set only had 9. And he's probably the biggest player for that. You know, he had Montgomery Ward and Charles Comiskey, you know, the White Sox owner. And when I say White Sox, I mean the American League White Sox that didn't start till like the 1900s. Because Chicago Cubs were called the Chicago White Stockings back there. And then they had changed their name a couple times over the years and landed up on the Cubs because they were like the young team for, it might have been Cap Anson, but whoever was the coach of the team, they were like, oh, his new Cubs are coming out to play because he's got such a young team. So the name stuck, and they switched over to the Cubs. And then when the White Sox joined the American League, they were like, oh, they're not going to use that name. We'll take it. And that way we can maybe trick people into being our fans, thinking it's that old White Stockings team, but they're not. The original Cubs were the White Stockings. And so he was one of the biggest players in the 1800s. And on the back, it's just kind of a checklist of what you can get on the M43s. And then it does say Adrian C. Anson, Chicago White Stockings. Not White Sox, White Stockings. And, excuse me, I'm going to get a drink. And you could get on the M43s, A-Rod. Alex Rodriguez, Barry Bonds, Josh Gibson, Nolan Ryan, Ichiro, Mickey Mantle, Ted Williams, David Wright, Albert Pujols, Ken Griffey Jr., Mark Teixeira, Adrian Cap Anson, Mike Tyson, Kenji Johima, and Ryan Zimmerman. So I picked me up a original 2006, and as you could see, it's, you know, you put that over there. Now these are bigger than your modern minis. They're a little thicker and just a tad bit taller, like a millimeter. But they went with whatever size they did for whatever reason they had. Probably, you know, how many you can get out of a sheet during the printing process. And Allen Ginter's has always had really good card stock. It's, you know, old-fashioned, kind of like, you know, similar to 80s, but even better than that, because even those could be pretty thin. But these are super thick, you know. But Allen Ginter's is one of the sets Topps puts out that actually has a really sturdy card stock compared to like Flagship or any of those other things. And then soon, you know, Allen Ginter's in 2006 was the set of the year by Beckett. And, you know, then of course everyone rushed to follow, you know, Helmar Brewing actually did a T206 kind of cards the year before, but they were an oddball from putting their potato chips and caramel corn bags, mostly in the Michigan area. And they're beautiful cards, but they're thick and they distress them so that people, they won't grade those. But they were kind of like right before this doing the tobacco minis. And Topps may have done some tobacco minis prior to that. I'm not sure off the top of my head right now. But yeah, so the original Allen Ginter's, you could get in 43 cards, and I think that was like out of their bigger packs of tobacco, like maybe loose tobacco or chewing tobacco. Pipe tobacco, would come in a bigger pack, and you could get these or maybe send in for these with the coupons that would also come with these. And so that's a 2006 box loader. And then I showed you in that sell sheet here's the other box loader type, which is the postcard. Now, of course, my white whale, if I could get that 101, which has never showed up anywhere online, no pictures. So it's either in somebody's collection and they don't want people to know it, they don't know what they have, or it's still in an unopened hobby box somewhere. But on these, it's just a postcard. And this is a nice one because it's got this image of old-time baseball on the front. And it's sheet music cover for 1867. Philadelphia, and then it says Topps Allen Ginter postcard, but it's a baseball polka, so some music book from back then that had like the music in it to play. This was like the cover, and so they put that on the front of this, and this is the Ted Williams, and the only thing is the sticker, the stamp is Ted Williams, and that's the only image of any of the players on these. And then it has like a little thing that he would have wrote, and then it talks about them, and those are Allen Ginter postcard /TW. So Allen Ginter postcard Ted Williams. So I wanted to have one of these in my collection, just to say, this is another one thing of Allen Ginter that I wanted to have. And I wanted to get the Josh Gibson one, but one person was selling it for a lot, and it was really dinged up. And then I came across this person sell 4 of them for the same price. And one of the 4 was the Josh Gibson I wanted. So it was the same price as the other person was selling a beat up one of these. And so I got this in there. And this one's cool because it says a homer a day will boost my pay. Josh, that's funny. And there's a little stamp of him. And it shows Washington, D.C. Read that. And then this is the one that's inside the sell sheet. That they showed you this in there, the Cal Jr. one. So there's that. And then probably the best, because it was playing days, Derek Jeter. I'm not a huge fan of Derek Jeter because he fired Andre Dawson when he was working for the Marlins office when they took over the team. So I was glad he didn't get in unanimous, because you don't do that to another Hall of Famer. Actually did it to a few. And but he's a good player, and a lot of Yankee fans out there. And that's got Central Park on the front. All right, so that's some of the stuff that you would get out of that original. Those are more of the stuff that you would get with the, like a hobby box. I do have a couple regular cards that I'm going to show you from the set, a full size and a mini, but I'll get to that, and I'll probably get to that right before the end because I don't want to reveal quite yet. But here's one of the mini framed autographs. I just fell in love with these. They're super cool. I think this is the only mini framed autograph I had up till now. So I've been collecting nonstop Allen Ginter since 2006. And like I said, they're hard to come by. I mean, you could order them, but I'm a hunter. I like to go out and find stuff. So just ordering something wasn't as fun for me, but now you can't get this stuff anymore. But I did pull this out of a blaster, so blasters used to be really good. Yeah, so that's Clint Barnes. So that's my first Allen Ginter, Topps Allen Ginter autograph I ever got, and that's a really nice one. That little signature is really cool, and there's the frame from back then. You used to get the little hologram sticker on there. The Topps certified. And then it tells you what you got there. And I hope that's coming in, without all, sorry if there's glare. Let me turn this over really quick. See if that makes it any better, being darker. Well, anyways, so that's one of the hits that I actually pulled. I didn't have any relics from then. And let's see, I'll keep this Fleetwood Mac Rumors up here for a minute. So that's one of the things I got there. And before I show you the other two cards from the base set, I just want to give you a little, show of, this is where Allen Ginter started, and then Topps picked it up, and started doing these. And, and then here we are today in 2023, and this has just been out for a week and a day. So that's been 16, 15, that's 10, 16, it's been like 18, 19 years since Allen Ginter came out. And I've been trying to get this card the whole time, but that's where it started. And they've changed. The first 3 years the design was very similar to the original, and they've done different things over the years, and this is where we're at now. And the 2023 set is just beautiful, just the way that they did, especially the minis. So we're just gonna show you, a little bit of what you got there, just real quick. There's like a 2007. There's a relic, so it's not quite the same as the 2006. They went from the blue writing like they had in the original. So if you can look at that, it says Allen Ginter's Richmond, Virginia, and it says cigarettes. And then in 2006, it says Allen Ginter's Brooklyn, New York, Topps. So almost identical except for those little changes. And then in 2007, the only thing they really did different was they went with red writing instead of the blue. And then 2008, I think it was the black writing. So, but the frame's pretty much the same, just a few little different colors. And so then you end up in 2023. So I'll just show you a few. Wife's slapping at some gnats. So just there's the full size 2023, really colorful on the inside there, and that beautiful frame and the ribbon. And the back is standard Allen Ginter, and well, I don't know if we could see that very well. Let me aim this just a tad. So I'm going to start zooming in now a little bit, since I don't have the big stuff to show you anymore. So bear with me a second here. All right. Sorry, people. Maybe if I zoom a little bit, camera will focus a little better on these. Alright, so there's I just picked a player at random, and McGuire's somebody you all would know, so alright. So that's kind of your standard Allen Ginter back. And one of the other things, Allen Ginter's is known for is doing some oddball stuff. And there's Apodaca. He's the dude skateboarding while drinking the cranberry juice, singing a Fleetwood Mac song. So he got a card this year, and that's cool for him, And people say, well, why has this guy got a card? Well, because the original Allen Ginter did stuff like that. Immediately after they did that first set, they started doing kind of oddball stuff. So, you'll get these kind of, different cards in there. Alright, I'm going to turn this over one more time. Don't worry, people, I'm working on wrapping this history lesson up. There's one of the inserts that they have this year. This is one of the rarer ones, so in action. So of course Topps doing their own thing as well. And then they just have that old-fashioned feel. And then there's your superstar for you, the modern non-retired player, Ohtani, 2023. That's nice. So just wanted to show you a little bit of that in a minute.
Huh?
In a few seconds, okay?
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and then here's the modern mini. It's just about a millimeter short than the original Allen Ginters, but I should show you a vintage player. He wasn't around when Allen Ginters was out back then, but there's your Willie Mays, and that's got an Allen Ginter back. And if you bear with me just a second, I'm gonna wipe down my. You can wait a second. Sorry. All right, there's I wanted to wipe down my lens there. So we got that, and so I'm gonna go off showing a card for a second, but like I said, one of the things I try to do is get some different. I'm ready. Is to get some different Allen Ginter stuff and stuff like you wouldn't know about that they have, like those wrestling cards and this like sell sheet. And today I was actually able to pick up another Allen Ginter thing that I came across at the local card shop. I was getting some top loaders, and I saw this in the window, and I was like, dude, what are you gonna do with that? He goes, I don't know. And I was like, well, when you guys are done with it, can I have it? And he's like, why don't you just take it now? Otherwise, I will forget. And so he gave me this is the Allen Ginter poster for 2023. My wife's holding here, and took it right out of the card store window, and so they gave that to me. That's an advertisement. You got Mangini playing in the background on pause. My wife holding that up. You got just a teeny glimpse of her beauty, but just right there. Oh, Alexa was jealous. So anyways, that's the I just picked that up for 2023, so that's cool. That's something different. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
Can you say hi to the people?
Hi to the people.
Yeah, the 4 times I watch the video on different devices, the only people. And so here's another mini. Thank you. There's Kenny Lofton. That's a really good looking one. I wanted to show that mint in there. That's an Allen Ginter back. And then I wanted to show you this guy. Hockey. Old time hockey. He's an A&G back. So this is a content creator and writer. And he gets a card because that's kind of what Allen Ginter's does. And the reason I was going to show you that one was because, one of the modern hits that I got was him on a relic card. So that's cool. Just to show you. There's the mini and there's the relic. All right. Just go over a few minis right away. I showed you full size. Then nowadays you can get black border, and that's out of every 10 packs. And that guy's a wiffle ball player, so I thought I would show you that just because they do goofy stuff. And I love that about Allen Ginter. It tells you about him. So that's one of the short prints. And then in the retail only, they got the gold. And there's a rookie card. It's a pretty card. And Max Meyer. Then, they'll do other people like this girl here. She's a voice actress. And so you'll get girls and pretty girls and sports related girls and actresses and stuff like that. And so she plays Ash's voice from Pokemon. And then they also do some cool stuff, this is like Save room for dessert this year. This is one of the short print rare ones to pick up. And like a 15 card set, and there's cookies, you know. So some people don't like that, but I do, because this is what Allen Ginter used to do, is they would have some stuff like this. And then, of course, they brought back for retail the rookie design variant. And the rookie design variant is based on the 2006 cards, which is based on the original 1887 cards. So, what did I do with it? You know, so really this is based on what 2006 cards looked like. But the 2006 cards, as we talked about, are based on these. So that's what that retail exclusive is all about. It's being like the original Allen Ginter. And you can get these in rookie cards every year. So that's Riley Green. And that's to show you that. And really quick, here's what some of the hits look like this year. I didn't pull out the autograph, but there's Christopher Morel rookie card, relic. And that's really pretty this year. And then the other version, the B version, is the Kevin Biggio. So those are really attractive cards. You know, they got a little bit different backs in that old school writing. Max Muncy. And just like the original set, where you could get baseball players and other sports people, or people like Annie Oakley, Buffalo Bill. You know, there's one of your hot chases right there, is a young quarterback for Green Bay. So Bryce Young. So there you go. I mean, started there, and we've ended up here. And in between, the one card that I've been going for, I've talked about in the past, my white whale, and the card that I was always wanting to pick up. You know, of course, I had to get her. So there you go. It's not even a baseball card. I had to get her. Card, which is a short print to the 2006. So here's one of the originals. Danica Patrick. So there's the short print base mini full-size card. And, you know, these run you $20, $30, $40 nowadays. And so it's card number 305. And, you know, I'd like to get some of the other variations of this. So there's her base card. Then, of course, I got her mini, which I'm a huge fan of minis, and that's what I love, is the mini cards. And, of course, I want a black border and like an Allen Ginter back, or the Bazooka back, any of those other ones, printing plate. But I do have the two base short prints version of her, which leads me to my white whale. My white whale has always been to pull one of the 100. Now there's 101 because of that 101 postcard. Of course, who wouldn't want that? But in reality, I always wanted the mini framed autograph of Danica Patrick. And that card was immediately $200 or $300 when it came out. And then over the years, it was $500, $600, $700, $800 for years on end. And now they're going for up to $1,700. Even today on eBay, you can get a graded one for $1,700. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna get that card because it's too expensive. If it was like $500 or $600, then I can justify it as a one-time kind of deal, just because it's the card I've been after forever. So a couple months ago, I was like, well, I'm probably never going to get that. But because it was one of the more popular cards they did, in 2015 when they did their 10th set, they did a 10th anniversary, and they picked some of the people over the last 10 years that were popular, and did multiple cards of those people in the 10th anniversary set. So what they did for Danica Patrick is they made 10 cards in the style of each different year up to that point. So they did 10 2006, 10 2007. They printed them in 2015. She was only in that first set, but they did it in the style card, the 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And she did 10 autographs on each one. And so I was able to find one on DA Card World. I'm going to get a drink, people. And so I was like, well, this will probably be the closest thing I ever get to my white whale. So I bought me a 10th anniversary Danica Patrick, number 6 of 10, mini framed autograph of the 2013 version. If she was in 2013, that's what they're saying the card would have looked like. They printed these up. They made 10 of them. She signed them. So she's got another 100 autograph cards in the 2015 set, as you can see here. And so I picked one of those up because I figured that's as close as I would ever get. So there's your 10th anniversary. And then lo and behold, like a month or two after I picked this up, what do I see on eBay? First was that $1,700 one, and I was like, oh my God, somebody's actually selling one. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to get that. And then like a week later, I saw somebody auctioning off another one. Now it's not graded and it's not in perfect shape, but it's a mini frame, so maybe the frame has some issues. I waited till the last second. Nobody had made a bid. I bid on it, and I won it for the price that it was going for about 4 or 5 years ago. And I get my white whale. The only problem is now, what do I do with myself since I've got what I wanted? So for all that history lesson, that whole long thing, I waited all day to show you guys this. And this comes from the eBay authentication. And let's go ahead and get this open. And maybe we can get my wife to kind of watch. Baby, you ready?
Huh?
You ready for this to happen?
Okay. Drum roll, please.
All right, people. We're going to get a drum roll, and here is the card that I've always wanted outside of like a Ty Cobb original, T206 or a Cracker Jack or that Cap Hansen original card. I was telling my wife earlier that it's kind of weird this year I've actually got to do a lot of the things that I thought I would never get to do, like meeting Debbie Gibson and seeing her in concert. And now today I got my white whale card, and I hope I live long enough to open it for you people. So, all right, here we go. Congratulations on your purchase. You can see that. I haven't looked at it yet. All right, and so what do you guys think this card is? Have I given you enough clues? Ready, set, right at an hour. Boom.
Ta-da!
There she is. All the stuff that I've been trying to do for 17 years or 18 years, depending when this originally came out, is I have been chasing this card. I've been wanting to pull this myself. It's never going to happen unless I win the lottery. But I was able to pick up my card. And there it is, authenticated by eBay. And here it is, people. You don't know how happy this makes me. I mean, it's unbelievable. All right, let's set that aside. And hopefully you're here to experience this with me. There she is, guys. You all know why you like Danica Patrick. Back in the day, Go Daddy. This is when she was still IndyCar racing. She did win an IndyCar in Japan. And there it is, 2006. Mini framed Danica Patrick autograph. Only 100 of these were made. And all the world, all the people that like Danica Patrick. And I own one of the originals. So that's considered a rookie card. Like serious, tops. So like a serious card company, not just some stuff some other small publication did or something like that. But there's the Danica Patrick mini framed autograph. And I got my 52 mantle, people. I don't pretty much do a whole lot of vintage like 50s and 60s. I've talked about that before because I feel that's kind of when they changed cards from being like stuff that would entice you to buy some other product like candy and stuff like that to being just about cards. And that's kind of slowly killed off the oddball market like today, where you can't get anything because it's too expensive for companies to license, even like the players, so you don't get any more stuff out of cereal and candy. So let's turn this over before we turn her over. So I don't know which looks better, but top certified autograph, Danica Patrick. Now it doesn't have a number on it, but there's only 100 of these made. And there's your back. And of course it's got the eBay authentication sticker on it. And if I take that off, then I guess it's not guaranteed by them anymore, but there it is. I've got it authenticated right there. And there's the back. The world champions, congratulations. Allen Ginter autograph, Danica Patrick, AGA DP. This is an authentic Topps Allen Ginter autograph card bearing the signature of Danica Patrick, star of IndyCar racing. Get out my trusty magnifying glass. Let's see what it says here. The signing of all Topps autograph cards is witnessed by a Topps representative to guarantee authenticity. And right there, trademark 2006, the Topps Company, all rights reserved, and Topps Allen Ginter are trademarks of the Topps Company with the hologram. 3533-401. All that led up to this. So it's hard to believe it's almost been 20 years that I've been chasing this. And I mean, it looks in pretty good shape. It's authentic. We know that. And there she is, boys. That's my white whale. So now I don't know what to do with myself. What am I going to hunt? That postcard maybe? In the back of my mind. I don't know. I'm like, some people want the Mike Tyson out of this set. That would be cool. Or the Hulk Hogan. They got the autographs too, but can you believe that? I got the card I've always wanted. And the reason I didn't get it before early on was because I couldn't afford it. Then when I could afford it, I was like not willing to spend $300 or $400. And I was more about the chase. I wanted to get this card myself, pull it from a pack. And then after that, didn't have the money again. And I tried, getting these blasters and stuff when they were still available. It was a long shot. It didn't happen. And then after that, I still didn't want to just buy one. Probably couldn't afford it at the time. And then, as much as some people complain about Allen Ginters and how they see it on the clearance shelves and all that, yeah, you might see that for that first year that the product's out. And then, yeah, you'll find 3 or 4 years back in the hobby shops, but the price just keeps going up and up and up. And then before you know it, it's gone. So, like, you might see the 2019 stuff still available now, but it's like $500, $400 or $500 because of Shohei rookie card. And once those are eaten up, they're gone. I did recently pick up a 2015 box, paid up for it, but aside from that, it's just really hard to find the old stuff. And yeah, because 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the road, people are like, oh, I wish I could have got that because Bryce Harper's rookie was in that. And so Allen Ginter's really does sell well. They do make a lot of it. But this is the only place without buying a super, super expensive product like in a briefcase or something like that for thousands of dollars where you're going to get the cool stuff. Now, this to me was the coolest card. When I seen this sell sheet, I was like, oh yeah, Danica Patrick, I want that. And then I found out about the autograph and I was like, yep, that's the card I want. And all I was ever able to do was pull her base cards. Not even an A&G back, not a black border. Never came across anything but these. Now, I pulled these myself. I've seen some available in the card shop to buy, but I didn't do it because I already had them. I wanted this. And when you finally realize that you're never going to be able to pull that out of something, then I moved on to the next best thing for me, which was this. And I'm glad to have it. I love it. It's cool. It's a bigger autograph. It's on a different design, so it's a little bit different. And it's cool, but there's nothing like the original. And I'll keep both of them. I love them both. I like that dark signature there. And so once I realized I was never going to pull this card, I just started buying a lot of the NASCAR stuff, like what was it before Panini? But you would buy a blaster and it was guaranteed relic or autograph in every box, and I kept going and going and trying, hoping to pull her because she was in sets, still is to this day, and you can get her autograph, but it's still tough pull. And the closest I ever got to even getting an autograph of her, like pulling something from an actual pack, was a blaster. I did get one of her fire suit material cards. So I do have a relic card of her, but that's obviously not Allen Ginter's, which is my favorite set, which we've just spent a whole lot of time talking about. And boom, there it is, guys. Look at that. I don't know. I'm not going to take it out of here right now. I'm going to have to decide what to do. I'll probably take it out because I want to put it in a one touch and keep them together. And I hate soft sleeves. I mean, I appreciate them for what they are. But look at that. I'm through the moon. I mean, I love it. I mean, I love collecting Andre Dawson, and I'm always happy to get an Andre Dawson, even if I don't get a hit of anything. But that's the chase that I've been on. And there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, and others, I just got the card that I've been wanting. Before this, before 2006, I mean, yeah, picking up some autograph cards, and now I want the Velvet Sky autograph or the, Awesome Kong from TNA Knockouts and, stuff like that. But I would have been like, oh, I want an Andre Dawson card. I want an Andre Dawson autograph, and those were after his playing days. But I do have one from his playing days, that last year, the Florida Marlins card. But, then I saw this set, and I was hooked, and I've been hooked on Allen Ginter ever since. I love it. Um, these cards have always held value. You know, a lot of people like her, even if, you know, a lot of people don't think she was a great race car driver. She does have a win. She does have a pole position. How many other racers don't even have those to their name? And she was a cultural icon, a pop sensation. She had a big effect. She was in the Super Bowl ads all the time, and you know, like a lot of guys were in love with her. And she's pretty and she's smart. I mean, you can go listen to her on YouTube now. She's a very well spoken and intelligent woman, and still pretty. And yeah, she's a success. So I guess, you know, I don't think I'll ever get that postcard. You know, I mean, if I was ever rich and I could try to find it, then I would. But I think mine, you know, outside of getting this card as my white whale, the next thing I have that I want to get done, of course, you know, who wouldn't love to meet her and get a picture and stuff like that? But if I do that, I've always been fascinated with this sell sheet, and I want her to sign that, and then I'd get like this graded or something like that, and then I would be one of the few people, if only person, who has this autographed, and it could go with this and this and this and this. But so yeah, I still have a goal to get that signed, maybe one of those blaster boxes. But to me, I love Allen Ginter, and it's just a weird feeling. Like, this is the card I've been after for almost 20 years, and 20 years has seemed to go by. Almost 20 years has seemed to go by so quick, and you think, oh, that wasn't that long ago, but then you think of all the stuff that you've done in that time, and in the back of your mind, you're always chasing this when you're a collector. You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys collecting the T206 set, just wishing you could get that Hannes Wagner card, or just not ever, you know, like, oh, I want the Ty Cobb and I just can't pull the trigger. You know, that was this for me, and that's why I love Allen Ginter. You know, it's a throwback. It's got a lot of different popular people that you can get, and eventually they'll come around to somebody you really like. And for me, it just happened to be right off the bat, and yeah, it just makes chasing fun. It's you know, that's an expensive card. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's a lot less than what other people have been asking. And I'm not a seller. I'm not a grader. I'm a collector, and that's it. That's, wow. It's just amazing, you know. So we started there, and here we are now. You know, they've come a long way, but they've managed to keep that vintage old feel to it, that classy writing and all that. But for me, it started there and came to here, and I was hooked because I always loved this kind of stuff, and somebody was doing this kind of stuff now. And if you get it, you get it. And beginning, a new beginning, and not the end, but where we're at now. You know, I love Gypsy Queen. I liked Goodwin Champions. I liked Golden Age. I like Helmar. I want the Cap Anson. But that's the one for me. So now maybe I'm going to have to focus on maybe picking up Colgan Chip, you know, Ty Cobb, or a Cracker Jack original, something from back then, maybe a caramel card or something, because you'll never get the top T206 without mortgaging your life. And there it is. I mean, That's another one of my checklist things. Dreams come true. That's the ultimate checklist item for Allen Ginter for me. To me, that's better than getting Abraham Lincoln cut signature card or dinosaur DNA card or, for cracking the code unless it was for this set. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm still going to collect and I love it. I'm hooked. But I hope you guys can appreciate when somebody gets what they, gets what they, gets the thing that they wanted. It's like Christmas. It's like being a little kid and getting what you want for Christmas, and you've been asking for years for it. And yeah, it's just totally nostalgic. I'm losing my voice, and I'm pretty monotone as it is, but I am through the roof. And hey, man, I really appreciate anyone who's watched this, stuck around long enough to see me do this. I want to, it'd be cool. It's too bad he wasn't alive to get an autograph. But 2006, I love it. And aside from that card there, which I just got from eBay, I do have 3 others that I got in the mail today. So I'll stop this video and do another video. I'll recap this stuff. And we'll break those open, and maybe we'll compare another 6 packs of Hobby versus another blaster of 2023 Allen Ginters. And hey, man, thanks for joining me. I guess congratulations to me, and now my wife can probably breathe a sigh of relief that I'm not be hunting this anymore, and not spending the money on it again. So thank you, Danica Patrick, for being my chase for so long. It's been a real pleasure. And now if I could just get you to sign my sell sheet. And yeah, that's next, right? Always got something, always got to have something to aim for. You know, stop moving, you die, right? All right, everybody, this is Rob from Old Style Classics Baseball Card. My biggest pull ever, and or get reveal. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for listening all this time. And everybody take care. And Rob out.